Someday we'll go places, new lands and new faces, the day we quit punching the clock. The future looks pleasant, but at present let's take a walk around the block. You're just the companion I wanted, Grand Canyon, for throwing old blades down the rock. The money we have will go for travel, meantime, let's walk around the block. Gangway, we'll begin when a ship comes in. You'll sit on my lap, all over the map, to London in Maytime, to Venice in playtime, to Paris in time for a frock, to Boston in bean time, darling, meantime, let's take a walk around the block. In winter at Christmas we'll visit the isthmus and see how they lock up a lock. And then in Caracas on a jackass we'll take a ride around the block. I give you my promise, we'll visit St. Thomas, and then at the Virgins we'll dock. The Virgins can wait, sir, it grows late, sir, let's take a walk around the block. Onward to Cathay, then to Mandalay, then Vladivostok, where Bolsheviks flock. We'll send the folks cables, accumulate labels, buy souvenirs till we're in hock. Right now we are flat in old Manhattan, let's take a walk around the block. Good morning, it's Wednesday the 30th of December, and this morning I'd like to talk to you about two little boys, both born in 1896, and their names were Israel Gershowitz and Isidor Hochberg, both, as you can hear, Yiddish-speaking Orthodox Jews born on the Lower East Side of New York. But of course you do know them by other names. You know them as Ira Gershwin and Yip Harburg, two of the great lyricists of the Great American Songbook. And they bonded at school over their shared love of Gilbert and Sullivan. You can hear Gilbertian playfulness in both their works. They worked on the school paper together. Yip would have to go off in search of composers here and there, but Ira, of course, had a composer to hand in George Gershwin, but his brother. But in 1934, George was pretty busy composing and orchestrating his opera Porgy and Bess. So Ira and Yip collaborated on the lyrics for a revue, a Broadway revue called Life Begins at 8:40. I've tried to discover which songs they wrote, if they wrote them separately, if they wrote them together, but as far as I can tell, everything has a joint credit. So that song, Let's Take a Walk Around the Block, was from Life Begins at 8:40, the 1934 revue, which had music by Harold Arlen and featured in the cast Bert Lahr and Ray Bolger. Now, Bert Lahr and Ray Bolger would, of course, go on to star a few years later in The Wizard of Oz at MGM with that score by Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg. And I'd like to play one more song by Ira and one more song by Yip this morning. Now, sadly, of course, only a few years later in 1937, George Gershwin died, and Ira had to start looking around for other composers, and he shared many with Yip. Harold Arlen, Vernon Duke, Burton Lane, Jerome Kern, Arthur Schwartz. And for the movie Give a Girl a Break at MGM in 1953, he wrote this next song with Burton Lane. It starred Marjan Gower Champion And behind us here you can see Jupiter's Darling with Margin Gower Champion. Songs also by Burton Lane, though a different lyricist, Harold Adamson. But this song was performed by Debbie Reynolds and Bob Fosse. Um, I would have to say, Ira, there's a couple of moments of not best prosody in this, but I'm so delighted by Burton Lane's music that I'm going to try and gloss over those concerns. The state of the world is such that the world is in quite a state. But let's not worry too much, let the rest of the world debate. Right now the thing to discuss is the wonderful status of us. The state of our union, hearts in communion, never will know any foreign entanglements, outsiders will not rate. In our United States, we'll make the altar strong as Gibraltar, fooling around will be unconstitutional, great will be our United States. With nothing but true love in the ascendance, we'll always sign and renew a declaration of dependence, where you depend on me and I depend on you. Peaceful and cozy, we'll have a rosy future with a house of cute representatives, so I can hardly wait, darling, for our United States. But there will be changes I'll be unfolding, withholding taxes are through. For when it's you, dear, that I'm holding, you can't withhold on me, I can't withhold on you. We'll have a White House, small but a bright house, built on the pursuit of star-spangled happiness. Hurry, let's name the date, darling, for our United States. In Our United States from Give a Girl a Break by Burton Lane and Ira Gershwin. Now, they were both quite satirical chaps. Ira, of course, wrote those wonderful operettas with his brother, Of Thee I Sing, Let 'Em Eat Cake, Strike Up the Band, which really are some of my favourite things. If you don't know those scores, they're a wonderful mix of Broadway and Gilbert and Sullivan, and completely delightful. Yip Harburg was possibly even a little more to the left, and was on several lists of left-leaning communist inspired writers that weren't terribly popular with the government in the 50s. There he is, Yip. He wrote several books of poems, as well verse, as well as all his lyrics. I'd like to just share a couple of tiny little ones with you. This is called No Evil in the Oval Room. The White House has an oval room designed with cunning care, so any wily president who happens to be resident could ne'er be cornered there. History lesson. This we learn from Watergate, that almost any creep'll be glad to help the government overthrow the people. I don't think those need any comment. So finally, a song of Yip's that he wrote with Jerome Kern. Kern, of course, the great American tunesmith. This is from the 1944 Universal picture Can't Help Singing, a great hit for Deanna Durbin. Jerome and Ira and Yip, sorry, getting confused. They were Oscar nominated that year for the title song, Can't Help Singing, which Deanna Durbin sounds great singing. I'm going to do another song from that film, though. I'm very fond of this. If I'm honest, I don't think it's very witty, and I don't think Deanna was quite the best person for kind of pointing these lyrics. When you listen to the film soundtrack or watch it, they don't quite have the zing that they should have, and I think they're really marvellous. So this is from Can't Help Singing, Yip Harburg, Jerome Kern. There are poets who sing of that mythical kingdom of Arcady, but alas and unfortunately, they're not up with the times. For there isn't a thing in that second-hand kingdom of Arcady that compares with the sun and the sea of that gold-spangled coast. Pardon us if we boast when we toast California, where each plum and each prune is as big as the moon. California, where December comes dolled up like May. There are gals to attract us, there's gold in the cactus, so bless the day that we found California, for without it there's no USA. In this new El Dorado, there's free avocado for everyone, and there's none that weighs under a ton in this fabulous clime. We have luscious persimmon and ditto our women who never run when there's work or romance to be done. So we say to each friend who may seek journey's end, we commend California, where the rain doesn't rain, it just drizzles champagne, where romance is the theme of the day. From San Pedro to Fresno, no maiden there says no, and love is nigh. For in gay California, everything's more tremendous, titanic, stupendous. The climate is better, the ocean is wetter, the mountains are higher, the deserts are drier, the hills have more splendor, the girls have more gender. California, for without it there's no USA. California. So I'll see you tomorrow for program 100, the last of the year. But thank you for joining me today for lots of fun with Yip and Ira.